On this episode, Dude, JD, and Tyler drink through some Russell's Reserve Single Barrel Club and store picks. Tune in to hear what we think on this episode of The Bourbon Hunters. Have you thought about supporting our podcast? Head on over to our website at www.bourbonhunters.com where you can by picking up one of our Kinsey drams or ordering some fancy bourbon shirts. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on our hunt for great bourbon. Reward yourself and sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. I'm Dude Poole, and I'm joined by
JD Fritches
and
Tyler Schaefer.
And today we've got a little bit of we're trying to get through some bottles, basically, is what we're trying to do. But we've got some Russell's store picks or club picks, depending on what your perspective is. And what do we got here?
JD, you explain the first one that you just poured.
Okay. This here was actually a gift for my birthday last year. Almost to the day. Tomorrow would be 1 year. So, Tyler and Dude graciously gave this to me. It's a Stadium Market Russell's Reserve. No, you gave me a Four Roses. I got this one, and we went to go golf in Michigan and stopped at Stadium Market right before we got Buddy's Pizza.
At least you were prepared to explain this.
Yes. This is a Camp Nelson A warehouse.
Ooh,
Everybody
nice.
loves the Camp Nelsons. It's from Stadium Market, again, which is right near a stadium that shall not be named. And it's 9 years old, floor 4.
Very nice.
110 proof.
Dude, you want us to explain what else we have sitting here, or just go through it as we drink?
Let's just go through it as we drink.
Okay.
That's my
Should we dive
thoughts.
in here?
I think so. And then I think we start talking about
Some games.
yeah. I mean, we've just recently witnessed second round of the NFL playoffs. And so then we just witnessed last night which this is going to be a week ago, the national championship game for the first 12-team playoff of the college football playoff series.
Yeah.
Does anybody else get tired of watching Patrick Mahomes run around like Uncle Rico?
Yeah. I mean, I'm tired of him.
What's the finger thing? What's this?
He's trying to get a call in.
He's trying to hurry up and get the next call in so that he can be ready to sit at the line and make his read the line, make his audibles if he needs to, that kind of stuff.
Well, he does it really well. I'm sure Brittany's really happy.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he makes a lot of money, so she's happy.
Yeah,
she's happy
I don't think it matters what he does with his finger. She's pretty happy. So this one's the Stadium Market.
I get a little bit of that turkey funk.
How old would you say this is?
9 years.
9 years. And how long have you had this?
This I've had for about a year and a half.
Yeah, okay.
It's
got a nice nose to it, especially if you like Russell's. This is definitely reminiscent of a Russell's and Camp Nelson A, is that what you said?
So this is only actually 7 days shy of 10 years.
Oh, wow. I will tell you, Russell's is, well, just Wild Turkey in general is one of my favorites to just go to. In the last, so when we went on our trip in December, I bought a Kentucky Spirit and I bought a Wild Turkey Private Barrel or whatever, 101. Both of those are 101. I don't really understand the difference between what they were doing there with those because they're both.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're both from the distillery. One's Kentucky Spirit, one's Wild Turkey 101. I don't really know. I just know that I bought one of each, and I've been pounding them the last few days.
Are they both excellent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're outstanding. Now, they're in 101 proof, which I know that's only whatever, but that's a great sipping proof point for me. These are what, 110?
110.
So, you're going...
They're really close to the barrel entry point at that point.
Yeah.
With Wild Turkey.
Yeah, this has that funk. I agree. And there's always a funk to Russell's when I really enjoy Russell's. A lot of the other things I'll get are like a little bit of a peanut type of kind of similar to Jim Beam, but different, if that makes sense. A lot of times I'll even get like a cherry cola kind of thing every once in a while. And you're doing the Mahomes right now? I haven't gotten the plan yet.
I don't know. Yeah, right. I get this like confectioner sugar, but it's not like just straight confectioner sugar. It's almost like the sweetness that you get from a jam.
Well,
like a dark
to me, it's like a dark
jam.
cherry jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a cherry jam type of.
Which would go right into Jammin' by Bob Marley.
Yeah, Jammin'. We'll start with Ohio State. I think that's a good place to start. I really. The Ohio State game, I know, Tyler, you have your thoughts about Notre Dame's defensive choices. I really don't know that when Ohio State's clicking and they're not shooting themselves in the foot with a hold or a false start or whatever and getting off schedule, I don't really know that there's a defense in the country that could actually stop them right now because they've got too many weapons. They've got 3 deep on wide receivers that are all outstanding. They have a great tight end who honestly doesn't get used unless they really have to. They used him a lot in the Texas game. Yeah. He was wide open underneath of the linebackers because the way that in the Texas game they were dropping those linebackers back deeper than normal to cut off any comeback routes for Smith or any of the wide receivers, which was a brilliant game plan for them. They played zone most of the year anyway, but to just deepen the level that those linebackers were dropping in Texas, it took Smith out of the game completely.
Yeah. Well, they also doubled him too.
They did, but then when they were in zone, it was a tricky zone because their linebackers were dropping deeper than normal.
Yeah.
Which left the middle of the field wide open. And when we figured that out, we exploited the shit out of it. We would hit a tight end, we would hit a running back, a running back in the past the line of scrimmage.
I agree, and one of the things I had talked to my dad about is that even if Ohio State came up against a defense that was strong enough, and I thought that potentially could have been Notre Dame, typically there would, let's say that Ohio State was stopped either for field goals or, had to punt. OSU would typically gain enough field to then pin that
and make
opposing
them have to
offense
get 80, 90 yards.
Exactly.
For a touchdown. Yeah.
I mean, and it's like really not even 80. It's like 85, 90, 95 yards.
Right.
Consistently. And
to put that kind of pressure on the opposing offense is
once, twice, but you're not going to do that all game long, which OSU would do if they
would get enough yards to at least flip the field if they had to.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and so there just wasn't, even if there was a defense that could have stopped them, there wasn't an offense that was comparable to then have the explosive.
That could consistently drive the field every drive.
Yes.
So, Notre Dame came out and they had a 16 play, which is the longest play.
9 minutes.
Longest drive in the history of the college football playoffs. 16 plays, 9 minutes. It was 9 minutes of the first quarter.
Yeah.
Ohio State scored on their first drive. But it was in the second quarter.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Their first drive they scored on, but that was in the second quarter. That's crazy to me.
So when I watched the previous week with Notre Dame, I was really impressed with their ground game. Not just Riley Leonard, but I was really impressed with that Love.
Yeah, he didn't do shit against
Ohio State. 4 carries.
Because we weren't giving him any yardage. They finished the game with 53 yards rushing or 56 yards rushing. Ohio State, so I had some frustrations. We won. I'm so fucking excited we won. So all of that being said, I have some nitpicks. And one of which is when they got the lead 31-7, they shut their offense down. Well, that's not 100% true. They got the lead 31-7. Notre Dame went down and scored, made it 31-15.
Yeah.
Ohio State's driving down the field to turn it to 38-15, and Igbuka fumbled.
Yeah.
On the 20-yard line.
Yeah.
Notre Dame then goes down and drives and scores again. Or no, they actually missed a field goal on that drive. Yep. But that was the first drive of the game Ohio State did not score on, was the Igbuka fumble.
Yep.
They scored on every drive leading up to that.
Well, leading up to that.
Every drive leading up to that, they scored. That was the first drive they didn't score on.
Correct.
They punted 2 times after that, and then
I thought it was only once.
No, 2 times, and then they've.
I saw they only had 1 punt last night.
Maybe I thought it was 2, but you might be right.
Yeah.
But anyway, what was frustrating is I felt like as soon as they had that fumble, they shut the offense down. And then the drive before that Notre Dame scored on to make it 31-15, Ohio State stopped doing what was working the whole game. They weren't putting pressure on Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
And when he didn't have pressure, he was picking the Ohio State defense apart. Ohio State's defense this year anyway, we have great DBs, but they're also terrible, if that makes sense. We have great DBs for the first 3 seconds of a play. And if we don't get pressure on a quarterback, that all breaks down.
Yeah.
If you look back at the first time Ohio State played Oregon, they got shredded. And they still almost won. But they got shredded because they weren't blitzing. After the Ohio State-Oregon game the first time, Ohio State switched and became, I think, the most blitzing team in the country for the remainder of the season. Not overall, like when you take the stats of the entire season, but from that point forward, I think they became the most blitzing team in the country. Which turned their defense around.
Yeah.
Smothered every defense.
But here's
every offense.
Here's what I will also say, and it was kind of what I was hinting at last night, is this is college football. There's not that many great quarterbacks. Like, if you put pressure on any fucking quarterback,
that's my point.
Like
they crumble a little bit.
Yeah, they crumble.
And if you look
take
in the
your
first
chances.
half,
take your chances.
So in the first half, they didn't blitz them in the first drive. It was almost like they were trying to figure out what game plan Notre Dame was going to come out with. So they played their base defense for the first drive.
Yeah.
Notre Dame goes down the field, scores. They just kept running that quarterback run up the middle, getting 5 yards on it every time.
Yeah.
And I think they ran the ball 9 times with him on the first drive alone.
Yeah.
Converted 2 fourth downs. It was a great drive.
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't do that the whole game. Riley Leonard would have ended up hurt. In fact, he was on the sideline after the first drive puking because he landed on the ball hard when I think he scored the touchdown.
Yeah.
And so he was battered. He left everything on the field in one drive.
Seriously, yeah.
And so they said the actual time on a clock was 20 minutes before he got the ball again.
Yeah.
Because they went to commercial, the first quarter ended, Ohio State finished their drive.
Yeah.
That was 20 minutes of time that he had to recover, and they said he still wasn't normal after that.
Yeah. And
in their next drive, they had a holding penalty, a false start. They were just discombobulated, and they had to punt, and then Ohio State goes and takes the lead.
Yeah.
Never relinquished the lead. That was the first time, too, actually, in the college football playoff that Ohio State was actually
trailing.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've always said about defending OSU and then also going against them, and it's kind of the typical, you have to have the right team for it, sure, but one thing when you see OSU blitz quite a bit, teams that have success on it, they start to get their running back to the outside. And then they also, which Texas did not fucking do.
They could. They tried a couple times.
And then they also, you have to have those underneath routes. And you just didn't really see it that much.
They didn't have time for that. The underneath routes weren't working against Ohio State unless the only time it was working is when they had a mismatch. Tight end
on the linebacker
tight end on a DB. When it was tight end on linebacker, we were fine.
Yeah.
When it was tight end on DB, they were just that's when they were getting their yardage. That big long play that they ended up getting penalized on because that Texas game we're talking about is when he got up and pointed at whoever it was that he threw to the ground. Like the Texas fans were like, he was just saying first down. I was like, no, he fucking wasn't.
Yeah.
He was 100% taunting the guy that he just threw to the ground. Yeah. And you're going to get called for that 9 times out of 10. Probably 10 times out of 10. But he pointed right at him. On the field, the guy saw it. Like the guy who threw the flag. Yeah. So it was the right call. It was a stupid decision by Texas. Didn't matter because they ended up the next play getting to inside the 10. And then they got 2 pass interference penalties and got it to the 1 yard line. And that's the thing. That's the thing I didn't understand what teams didn't do more of. Throw the ball up in the air towards number 1, Igbenusa or whatever the hell his name is. He's terrible. Yeah. He is terrible. Because even if Caleb Downs or someone else is ball hawking and sees it and intercepts it, Igbenusa is going to be draped on the guy like a fucking cape.
Yeah, and Burke too.
Burke, his worst game of the season was Oregon. After that, he really didn't have a bad game. He made good tackles. He
got benched. He got benched against Texas.
Maybe, but that's why he didn't have a bad game.
Yeah. Well, no, he started and then he got benched.
If you're on the bench, you're not playing poorly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fucking. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, Igbinosa, number one, I don't know what year he is, but he's not graduating. He has a lot of work to do. He has no awareness.
Will Caleb Downs leave?
No, he can't leave.
He's
a true sophomore.
Oh.
He cannot leave. He has to play one more year.
I thought it was 2 years.
No, he is. This is his second year. He was a freshman at USC. USC.
No, Alabama.
Alabama. You're right. And he's a sophomore this year. True sophomore. He has to play one more year. 100%. For sure.
Oh, yeah. They can be redshirt sophomores. It has to be 3 years. Yeah. Interesting.
But what I will say is their defense and their offense. Notre Dame, all credit to them for coming back into that game and not giving up. I, honest to God, think under Brian Kelly they would have lost, 50-10.
I'm really interested. Obviously, Ohio State has all the fucking talent in the world, but you're replacing your quarterback, which they have some. Obviously, they have fantastic options there. You're replacing both running backs. You're replacing
not both. Judkins can stay.
Oh, can he?
He has not announced yet. He's only a redshirt sophomore. He can leave.
I thought I saw projected in the first or second round.
He's probably more of a second rounder.
Yeah.
He might stick around just to become the primary.
Yeah, they're only losing Judkins, or not Judkins.
Travion Henderson, for sure. Egbuka.
Egbuka.
Yeah.
The tight end, what age is he?
G. Scott. I don't think he could go. Yeah. But he's not.
Now the defense is like 99% seniors. All three linebackers, all four.
Simon, Sawyer.
All of them.
Not all of them. I just read today. There's 6, I think, total seniors
that are out
that can leave, that have to leave.
Oh, that have to. Yes, all of them. Most of them can. All 3 linebackers.
Caleb Downs cannot leave.
Correct. Who's the other one?
Simon, both of the styles can stay, but Simon, Sawyer,
Williams,
Talamahu, or however you say his name, and Williams, I think all have to leave.
Yeah, all have to.
I think they're all seniors.
Whoever the other defensive tackle also is a senior.
That's Williams. I think is the I don't. Maybe I don't remember 100%.
Yeah,
but I think it was 6 people that have to leave. The problem is. And I think Denzel Burke is one of them that's leaving.
Yes. Who was the other safety? Not Styles. Styles played nickel.
Ransom has to
also,
go.
Yeah. So it's a good amount. Obviously, they'll replace him, but
I think they'll be fine.
Sure.
Just
they always are. I mean,
yeah.
You're on a 23-year streak of 2 losses or less.
Yeah, something stupid.
Yeah. It was crazy because the previous 23 years, not that OSU was bad, but they were more normal. But they were really pinpointing outside of the 1 year.
The previous 23 years includes Earl Bruce.
Yeah.
So here's I was talking with some of my friends last night that went to Ohio State with me, and so did we rate this?
No.
Let's rate this real quick.
We've been drinking it the whole fucking time though.
It's good.
It's great.
It's really good. We're gonna go with Dude Special K next.
Okay.
I'm asking.
Yeah.
So the next one is Dude Special K, which is a private barrel select from the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club. I was on this pick. It was a really, really fun pick. I think, who did I take? Oh, Sam Shaw went with me on this pick, actually. This is a really good one. This is from Warehouse K. That's why we called it Dude Special K, or Tyrone K, actually. That's why we called it Dude Special K. It was just a joke of... the logo on it looks like a Kellogg's logo with a little bit of a chicken or turkey type of kind of stuff on it. That being said, just like everything, it. Hold on one sec.
Okay.
Just like everything from them is Russell's Reserve is 110 proof. I remember picking this. It was kind of cold. and I'm going to pour this out. For myself. You guys can pour your own. But that being said, while you're pouring this, I think, what were we just talking about before?
You were talking with your buddies.
Oh yeah. So one of the things I thought was interesting, if you don't count the Fickle year, which Fickle was just kind of a forced. They had to have someone there real quick. I don't count him as a head coach, even though he kind of was. The last 3 coaches at Ohio State have won a national championship.
Yeah.
Before that was John Cooper. John Cooper took over from Earl Bruce. Earl Bruce was an average coach at best. He had a decent, I think, a 500 record against Michigan. The problem is he just wasn't that great of a coach from a national standpoint. Mm-hmm. He had some good games, but he had some bad games. So they bring in John Cooper. The whole reason they hired John Cooper is because at Arizona State, he coached them to a bowl win against Michigan. Mm-hmm. So they're like, oh, we're going to bring in a guy who knows how to beat Michigan. Then he comes in, and I think he had 2 wins in his 14 years against Michigan. So he was 2-11-1 or something like that against Michigan, something crazy.
But a good record. Good overall. John Cooper, you said, right?
John Cooper, yeah. He had an amazing overall record.
Yeah.
But he sucked against Michigan. Yeah. And he wasn't great in the bowls either, but he sucked against Michigan.
Yeah. Wasn't Tressel good against Michigan?
Oh, I think he lost to him once, maybe twice. So the thing, though, that everyone hates Cooper because he fucking kept losing to Michigan. Yeah. And he'd have the number 1 ranked team in the country and they'd lose to Michigan.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't get to play for a national championship or whatever.
Yeah.
But what he did is he elevated Ohio State as to be a stopping point for recruits that wanted to go to the NFL. Mm. He brought a pro-style offense to Ohio State. He made Ohio State be a place that everyone wanted to come to. He was an amazing recruiter. When John Cooper came, the amount of people that started going to the pros from Ohio State just went through the roof. Mm. And so while he kept losing to Michigan, he turned Ohio State into an actual destination for recruits.
Yeah.
So that part of John Cooper is the part that no one ever wants to talk about because he had a terrible, record against Michigan. Then Tressel comes in and turns that record around, continues recruiting well. We continue to get great recruits that end up in the NFL. I think USC, Miami, and Ohio State had the most players in the NFL for the longest time in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Now, national championships, they had 1 to show for it. And then 2014 happens. They have another one with Urban. Then another 10 years, and now they have one with Ryan Day. So I just thought it was interesting. We were texting each other and how that, if you look, there's only 2 other teams that have had as many national championships in the last 25 years as Ohio State. Alabama exceeds that.
Yeah.
And
Clemson,
Clemson,
6 or 7?
Yeah, something like that. Clemson doesn't.
No, because they've lost.
I think
they've been to more national championships.
Yes. I think that's true.
Okay.
And I can't remember who the other one was. There are 3 teams.
Georgia? No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think they have 2.
Yeah, because Georgia was not fucking great.
No, they were bad for. And
that's what I'm kind of getting at when I say that. The last 23 years.
I would say 25 years.
Yeah, I mean potentially for sure. When you're talking about the overall record, so when I'm lumping the 25 and then the 25 prior to that. So the 25 prior to that, OSU wasn't bad by any means, but they were
in the 90s. They finished number 2 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, so they were good, but they're not what they are now.
No.
And so what I mean when you look at University of Miami, Florida, Georgia, Bama, USC, every Clemson. Who else? Florida State, every Oklahoma, Nebraska, every powerhouse at some point goes through a downturn. And even when you look at
Ohio State's was in the 80s.
Yeah. But, Bama wasn't amazing before, Bear Bryant previously, but
Yeah, they had a huge downturn until Saban came.
Yes.
Huge.
Yeah, but then
they
and then
were irrelevant for
Yeah.
over 20 years.
And it's now after, and you're like, okay, well, they're still good, but it's like,
But there's
yes,
we're going to see maybe let's figure out. Let's give this coach a couple years at Alabama. Let's see what he does because he bolted from Washington, right?
yeah.
Well, let's see what he does.
Sure.
He might turn it around and get his own system in place.
Yeah.
I don't ever judge a coach on their first year.
Sure.
Because you're playing with your predecessor's players.
Yeah.
That doesn't fit your system necessarily. So you have to make do.
I'm curious when, even if it's not long term, when OSU will have a downturn where they might lose 3 or 4 games, or go through a time where they have 3 losses a season for multiple years. You
Yeah.
know, because I mean, right now that's like 1 or 2.
We haven't had that.
When's the last time OSU had 2 losses? Was that Fickle?
Fickle, they were 6-6.
Has Ryan Day ever lost twice in the season?
Yeah, I think so.
I think he did once.
Yeah, we lost to Georgia
Michigan
and Michigan.
yes, yeah.
in the same season.
He also lost to what was it?
But 2
Indiana
two
or
regular
Illinois.
2 regular season.
You don't think so?
The thing about
That's
Ryan
the
Day,
end of Urban Meyer.
No, the thing about Ryan Day is he does not lose. Urban Meyer always lost to a team he shouldn't lose to.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
like
lost to
Purdue.
Illinois.
Purdue.
They did lose to Illinois.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
they did.
one year.
Yep, Purdue.
Yep.
But here's the thing
Purdue.
about Ryan Day is Ryan Day doesn't lose to the teams he's not supposed to lose to.
Yes.
He'll lose to a top 10 team. He doesn't lose to the teams he's supposed to lose to.
Yeah,
Or
if you
not
look
supposed
at
to lose to, I should say.
his record as an underdog, it's not good. If you look at his record as a favorite, it's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you looked, he is 3rd best in the history of college football of winning percentage of coaches with more than 50 games.
Yeah. Yes.
3rd best in the history. Newt Rockney is one of them, and then
Yeah.
there's this another guy. I don't remember who it was. He is 3rd best
Yeah.
in the history of college
Yes.
football with over 50 games played.
Yeah. But it's like,
But everyone wants to fucking fire him. I'm like,
Sure.
shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Who are you going to replace him with?
Yeah.
I've never thought they should fire Ryan Day.
No, I didn't think so either, but so many people because he loses to Michigan. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, up until now, like you look at the talent that they have, and they haven't got over the hump for a national championship. That was the thing of like,
But you know what? I will say this, and I will die on this hill. If they beat Michigan, they would not have won the national championship
Why do you think that?
because that fucking sparked them this year.
yeah,
They became a completely different team after they lost to Michigan. Completely different.
yeah, there was.
I feel like they didn't play the better defense that was in the playoffs. I feel like Penn State had a far better defense
No, Michigan's defense
than Notre
was-
Dame.
Michigan's defense is probably the best defense they've played.
Yeah.
Michigan's offense was quite literally like the worst in the fucking
Well,
country.
Penn
But
State
we
did not
also-
play Michigan this year either.
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly think the best defense we played this year was Michigan or Penn State.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Notre Dame was up there too. But
Texas.
Texas supposedly, but we
Notre Dame
SEC.
we
supposedly,
shot
but
ourselves in the foot against
Yeah.
Notre Dame or against Texas on 3 straight drives in the second quarter that we could have blown the game out.
What do
Yeah.
you think about Quinn Ewers transferring again?
He's not. He
He's
declared,
staying?
he declared for the.
Oh, he
Pros.
declared. Okay.
let's jump in this.
Yeah, let's do this.
All right.
I mean, these aren't going to be too different because they're all store picks.
I feel like it nose is different though.
It does a little bit.
It's not quite as sweet. This is a little more.
See, I felt like it had confection or sugar on the nose, but it doesn't have the funk that the other one had.
Yeah. Okay. The funk's missing.
Yeah.
What warehouse is this from?
This was Tyrone K.
I love Tyrone
Special
K.
K.
Love Tyrone K.
Yeah, me too. It's a good one. I like a lot. I like most. I mean, the Camp Nelsons are good, but anyway, what were we talking about?
Not a fucking clue.
We just had to pause, and JD ruined everything.
I apologize for that. We were talking about Ohio State and defenses and
Yeah, JD is probably over it. Let's just move on.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Let's drink this bourbon and talk about it.
this is delicious.
It is very delicious. Special K.
So you
That's
were
why
on
we
this
call it
pick.
Special K. I was on this pick. Yeah.
Now, when you tasted this, did you stop and halt everything and say, guys?
No, so it's kind of a funny story. We were on this pick. Jason obviously was on this pick. Sam Shaw went with me, and we Bruce Russell was with us. He's the one who does a lot of the barrel picks right now. I don't know if anyone else does them, but I know Bruce has been on probably 4 of the barrel picks I've done recently. I've done a ton with Russells lately. Have you done a Russells?
Never.
Never? Okay, I'll take you next time.
Well,
Because Tyler never fucking goes.
never been invited.
You were
Everything I invite you to, you decline.
Well,
Have you been to a barrel pick with me yet?
Yeah, Pursuit.
Yeah, but that's part
Yeah,
of a bourbon trip that he has.
He missed
no,
Old
but
Forester.
I don't think
I
I've
set
been
up one for
invited.
Yellowstone with you. With,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Jason.
You did a pick with Todd Ritter,
No, I haven't.
Jason.
Brett, and
at
Tyler.
Yellowstone?
Yeah, Yellowstone.
No, it was me and Jeff. Jeff and I.
Jeff,
But I didn't get
Jeff
to,
Tress?
I didn't get to drink it.
Why?
He had to spit
Yeah,
Why?
because
because they wouldn't. They had basically had to label someone.
That's the nice
driver.
thing about Bourbon Enthusiast is he hires a driver.
Yeah. So I will say this last time that you invited me was like the first cool one that I actually got invited.
I'm
for.
not gonna lie.
I did ask for you the night before, and he's like, "Yeah, we've already filled that one up now."
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I was going to try to get you to come.
Yeah.
But if you would have just originally said yes, you would have been on it.
Yeah.
The Nulu was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. You should see if we can swing anything for Friday. Like anything available?
Where?
I don't know.
All right. What do you guys get on this one? This one I feel like is less funk.
If we're not
There's a
cutting
little
trees
There's a
down,
little bit more sweetness.
I'm gonna come with you guys.
Cool.
What?
If we're not cutting trees down
Oh,
at the
on
golf
Friday?
course, I'm gonna come with you
On
guys.
Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. I get less. I get more sweetness. I get less funk.
This one, we're a couple in, but this one doesn't. The proof doesn't show as much.
Yeah. No, I remember this when we did it. Was a smooth drinker. There was a whole bunch of joking, as there always is when you're doing these types of picks.
Who else was on that pick with you?
I don't remember all the people, but
Okay.
it was Jason, me, and Sam Shaw. So when we were there was a lot of joking around, as always. It was a Tyrone K, which was a big thing, and I don't remember anyone had ever actually had anything from Tyrone K. So as we were drinking it, the joke of Special K came up, and I think I came up with that. So that's when Jason came up with the idea to call it Dude Special K, and so we kind of ran with that.
Yeah.
But it like this is what I remember when we had this. This was really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty upset that I didn't buy a second one because this was one of my favorite Russell's picks I've ever done.
This dances on my tongue.
It's
like
good.
No, it's like raspberry cheesecake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good note. Raspberry.
It kind of has that tingle that you get with a raspberry, where other berries don't do that, and it's just desserty, like graham
It is
cracker,
desserty.
and
Yeah. I would agree with that. Graham cracker. Solid.
delicious.
Very solid.
I've never had a bad K.
No, I haven't either. This is a solid pick, in my opinion, for Russell's. Let's Tyler, let's talk about your last Sunday with or Saturday, whatever it was.
that was a
Man. I'm glad I was giving a tour at Echo during the first part of that game.
Now you guys are both Detroit Lions fans.
Huge
right?
Lion fan.
Yeah.
Now I will say two things. Yeah, go ahead and start pouring.
So, do you want me to introduce this before
introduce it. Yeah.
So I got this off of our Secret Santa, which is one of
nice.
my favorite things to do every single year.
You've never been let down by that, right?
Never.
That's nice.
And I thought I would be let down this year.
Why is that?
Well, I traded one of our
Old Forester picks.
Old Forester picks.
Okay.
And the way that they tier everything is basically under $100 in secondary value and above 100. And
Yours would have
typically
been under 100.
Yeah, and typically anything under 100, they basically just label as store picks.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a store pick.
Yeah.
And to me, there's like,
But you know what? Here's my thing. I love store picks.
of course,
Me
we
too.
do.
Yeah.
That's what I search for anymore.
We do.
I'm
Right,
not a
because
big,
that's where you're going to get
yeah.
your variations of, on
Yes.
your regular stuff.
I'm not as much of an LE hunter as I am store pick hunter now.
I agree.
Yes,
I
and,
agree.
and so I agree there. I will say that I still don't get like giddy over store picks unless they're
No,
Old Forester,
no.
Russells, or Four Roses.
I don't get giddy, but I will tell you some of my favorite things I've ever had are store picks.
Yes.
Yeah. me
Yes,
too.
absolutely.
But
too.
you're right. You're right, though. I do not get. But under $100, what are you going to get giddy?
Exactly.
about?
Can you
exactly.
do two in that kind of thing where you do like a under 100 and an over 100?
You could do that, but
Okay.
they won't allow you to combine.
It would be two separate
value.
entries.
Okay.
Well, they're not going to say, "Hey, you have two of these, so I'm going to turn around and give you a
Over
you know,
100 for two of those.
But do
Or
they
like
separate
Gotcha.
them and make them two separate entries, or do they?
That I don't know, because I thought about putting ours
Next
with
year,
like
remind me. I would
Yeah.
like to join in with that
Yeah.
next year.
for
Yeah,
sure.
me too.
I would do
Seriously.
that too. I'd say, "Hey, I have these. Let's separate them out and do it." And
Cork's not very tight.
I also thought about, and we didn't really come across one, but I thought about,
Pour me some.
if I found something on the bourbon trip to add that in there.
Yeah.
And we got a Blanton's, which I probably would have gotten something for maybe $150 or whatever in return. But anyway, let me.
That was a used glass.
So let me read this before you pour it. So I got this. This is from Mickey Finn's. I don't know where that's at. Picked by Eddie Russell, Warehouse CNF, which I think is Camp Nelson.
Nelson F, yeah.
Yep, floor 4, bottled or dumped May 14th, 2024. Bottled 6/10/24. It's 9 years old, and obviously 110 proof. Yeah. So that's the gist of that.
So it says 9 years, but it's
It was
Close to-
distilled in.
it's 9.5 years.
Close.
Yeah. So my Saturday, we had a combined baby shower / diaper party for a buddy up in Michigan. Jillian and I went. It was at the South Lion Hotel, which JD knows very, very well.
I love a South Lion Hotel.
Yep. And I started off with a double neat pour of Woodford, which I think
Store pick?
Standard
No,
Woodford,
yeah,
like
which I
standard
think-
or double oaked.
standard.
What kind of bar do they have at
You know
South
what?
Lion Hotel these days?
I don't know.
Hot
they
take.
did have some
Hot
blands,
take.
and they did have Weller Special Reserve.
When you're at a bar, standard Woodford, standard Four Roses,
Sure.
I will drink all day.
Yeah.
So when I go to a concert and like they have like a little bit of a bourbon bar, I get excited when I see Four Roses
Sure.
there.
Yeah.
And I'll order Four Roses
Oh,
because
yeah.
I think Four
It's usually
Roses,
like $8-9.
yeah, it's
for-
cheap
yeah.
and it
Right.
actually tastes good.
Are you going small batch select or small
No,
batch?
no, I'm just talking
Like this
standard Four
80
Roses.
proof, Four Roses yellow.
Whatever the regular
Oh, that's
yellow.
probably cheaper than that.
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah. That's
usually
like $6
single barrel is like
I
$9.
mean, at a concert, it's still like 10 or
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They always up everything, man.
So had a double pour to start. Then I had some beers after that, and we were there till about 4 o'clock.
So you were in
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yes.
For the game.
Not for the game, but
You
during
weren't
the
at
game.
the game.
Correct. And
But
I was
you
really,
were-
really excited because the game wasn't really announced the time until the week before, and I'm like, I'm going to be with all my fucking friends.
That's cool.
Yeah. First time, and it was the worst experience. So
But here's my real quick before you tell your experience. I will say, Detroit had probably the best season this year.
yeah. it was unreal.
However, what did they say they had? How many different?
9 defensive players out.
No.
No. That's not the. That's crazy.
They had 16 on.
I
IR.
thought that they had played
Total?
I thought that they had played. They tied the league record of most defensive players played throughout the season. It was like
Yeah,
50 or something. It was
Yeah,
insane.
Yeah,
It was insane.
a lot of people don't realize like they're literally playing practice squad players.
Yeah,
Like starting practice squad
their
players.
defense was fucking duct taped together.
Here's my hot take on the Lions. Hooker will be gone. Hendon Hooker will be gone because they put in Teddy Bridgewater, who they picked up 3 weeks prior, over Hendon Hooker. You've
Yeah.
been taking snaps all year.
But who the
all
fuck's
year.
Hooker?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Tennessee quarterback.
Yeah, I
he was a
know who he
Heisman
is.
runner.
Yeah.
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 Then he got hurt.
So after that, we went
Whatever.
to a
They don't need him.
You know what my bar was out there in New Hudson Inn?
Yes.
That was my bar.
So I don't know if
Dive
I don't know if you've ever been to this one, but it's an even more dive bar than the New Hudson
No
Inn.
way.
Yes. In Northville, we went over to a place called the Wagon Wheel.
I love the fucking wagon wheel.
I have
Oh
been there.
my god!
In
No way.
Yes.
Come on.
No. So I have a friend that in college, he lived in Adrian, Michigan growing
Okay.
up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I would go up there all the time.
Yeah.
And we would just, I've been there.
So
I've been
there's
to the-
not
right around the
there's not
corner from
there's not
custard
a
time.
window in this place. They have
Yeah.
pool, the TV's going. We had jukebox on the phone. In the middle of the day, we were really outside of maybe a couple other people. They're the only one there, and there was a group of like 10 of us. And price is still basically in the 1990s. They had a 2 cheeseburger slider and French fry deal for $7, I believe. And the sliders are not like those little tiny sliders. They're basically like the size of McDonald's cheeseburgers, like
Well-
that size of roundness.
You remember like greens and baits and all those different.
Yeah. So you're getting two cheeseburgers and fries for fucking $7. That's unreal. So we were there basically till game time, and then we went back to my buddy's condo where I think even more people showed up. The killer was my buddy's wife basically made like 5 rounds of shots through the entire duration of the game after we had been drinking at that point for all fucking day.
Oh my god.
And mind you, when I got to Wagon Wheel, the first thing I ordered was a double neat of Makers.
Great choice.
Yeah, and then I had another beer on top of that there. So I kind of went back and forth between the brown and the beer, the brown and the beer, and then like fruity shots. Like we had some Starburst shot, whatever.
What's in that?
I don't know. It's really great. It's
I like
really
red-headed
good.
sluts.
Yeah. So then I had some.
Don't we all?
That's a shot.
So we had some more. The disappointing thing is my buddy from when we were at the hotel. The hotel has great food, and the game plan was whatever was left over in their food buffet that they had there, they were going to bring over for food for later in the evening. Well, none of us really even thought about it, but that didn't happen. And none of us, like, during the game were like, I'm hungry or anything. We had just been fucking pounding drinks and watching the game. And so after, Jillian and I are like, fuck, we didn't eat anything. I'm
Also,
fucking
Jillian was
starving.
there.
Is Jillian
Yes.
drinking like this too?
I was so proud of Jillian because she drank a lot and she stayed up and like no issues. Like she was social, drank, stayed up till 12:30 because I thought for sure I was ordering her an Uber or sending her back home at like because game time was 8 o'clock and I'm like
She's not saying it. For
I was
that
like
shit.
she's
Where
gonna
were you
make it till
staying?
9. Right off Haggerty, like 5 minutes away, so it wasn't an issue. But we ended up going to McDonald's on our way home. Got McDonald's 1:30 in the morning. I wake up and I'm like, I don't feel fucking good, and I yacked every ounce of that fucking McDonald's
Did
up
you really?
violently. And I woke up the next morning and I was hurting. I didn't get out of bed till fucking like 9:15, and I was like in pain. Yeah, but yeah,
That's crazy.
great time. But let's nose and dive into this before we talk Lions.
Can I
Yeah,
can
let's
I
do
tell
that.
you guys my favorite Detroit Lions story too?
Sure.
After we nose and
Yeah.
dive into this.
Sure.
This is the best nose of the 3.
I think I agree with you.
I really do.
I'm glad I kept having you pour more and more.
Yeah.
I frittered it for you.
You did. Well, you
This
didn't
one
try
has some-
to. I kept telling you to.
This one has some really good fruit notes. Some floral, some fruit notes.
It's got some candy. There's
Yeah.
some hard candy, hard shell candy to this.
Yeah, hard shell, like
Yes.
sweet candy.
Like
yeah.
hard, rock, like what is it called? Just hard candy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rock candy
Rock
with
candy.
that
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
sugar on the outside.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
That's a great
My mom
nose.
used to make that for Christmas, a ton of it, and I love that stuff.
You know what candy I love even to this day as a kid now
Chocolate.
to today? Saltwater taffy.
You know, I've never had saltwater taffy.
Oh my god.
You know how many times I've been to Myrtle Beach and they sell it, and I've just never. And people I know buy it. I've just never tasted it.
so freaking good.
You have?
Yes.
You like it?
I mean, I've drank 3/4 of the bottle in probably 3 weeks, so I would say that I like it.
That you like saltwater taffy.
Oh no, not saltwater taffy.
You don't like taffy?
The fuck?
I do like
what
saltwater
were you
taffy.
listening to?
Oh, he does like.
I was
We
telling
were
you.
talking about saltwater taffy for 30 seconds.
I know, but
and you're
I-
like, and
I had
you're
a sip of
mouthing
this.
to me.
The,
I like it.
the
I
sip
like it.
was so good.
Yeah,
he couldn't hear
All right,
anything
that's
else.
Exactly.
fair.
No, I do
That's
like saltwater
fair.
taffy, and I did hear that, but I
Hey,
was like, diving.
Nulu. Got the Nulu glass.
You do.
Yeah.
That's from the first tasting I ever did there.
Is it?
Yeah.
That maple brulee I'm so excited for.
Mm-hmm.
So,
This is good.
one of the things that I think
Oh, wow.
This is good. Holy shit.
really stands out to me is
Wow. Oh,
we are
the finish.
The
we
finish is
are
really good.
how many drinks in, and you typically towards the end you're like
Palate
starting
blown.
yeah a little bit, and this is like, who is that? This stands out, and that is very unique for being number 5.
I mean,
Well,
you're not born to fit
not
in. You're
number
born to
5
stand
on
out.
Yeah, we had 2
podcast.
primers.
Yeah,
We had a couple
2
primers.
Yeah.
Isn't that the
We,
famous
we,
line?
we start to get a little drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think? What do we think here?
I think I like this one the best of the 3.
This may be my favorite as well.
There's like a popcorny.
Little buttery popcorn note there. One of the also with this, it's damn good.
Yeah.
I will say that I definitely have a lot of stuff that I've opened up and I've been like, this is really, really fucking good. Or vice versa. Sometimes I'm like, it's not that great, and I get it here, and I'm like, for whatever reason, my palate and nose like come to life when I'm here. It's like, okay, it's time to actually think
Time to
about this.
shine.
When I'm at home, I'm like, tastes like bourbon. You know what I mean? But when I'm
So
here,
I know your rule: drink half, put it away. Right?
Yeah.
At what point do you go back to it?
pretty often. So really, to the rules, I drink a third typically.
Okay.
Is what I'll do. I get a new bottle. I'll probably drink a third unless it's like a very, very rare limited. Time
Like the Heaven
offering.
Hill 18.
Yes, yeah, birthday bourbon. Well, the birthday bourbon, I'm like halfway through.
I mean, you're
Yeah,
halfway
like,
through
yeah.
the 18-year Heaven Hill too.
Yeah, I'm halfway through that. So
Make sure you don't get through your birthday bourbon,
I
just in
know.
case we get some next year.
I know
It is
I
my
know.
birthday tomorrow.
That's not what he's
Yeah.
saying.
So
That way we can compare it.
yeah, so that's what I do, and then I put it on the shelf, and then I start going and rotating.
Yeah.
And so I'll go back to it pretty often, and it's clear, but like
Yeah.
I'll have other stuff with it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's not like I put it aside and say, hey, I'm not going to touch this for whatever. Because, I mean, these are, I wouldn't say they're a dime a dozen, but I come across them often. So I'm not afraid to continue to drink it if I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So really what I was saying here is there's quite a bit where I like something a lot and I bring it here, and then you put it up against, maybe other Russells or other Four Roses, and you're like, it's middle of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
It's great, but it's as good as I thought, but it's not like crazy. This being number 5 of our pours in the night, and just as good as I remember it, is special. Like I do think it's a really, really good bottle of Russells for me,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
because I have like 6 opened at my house right now, and it's number 1 for me.
Oh, I love it. You know what I did, dude? You know that toasted barrel proof I picked up at Evergreen and Cox's on our trip?
Mm-hmm.
Traded it.
Really?
I took Jason's advice. I tried it in our Saturday tasting when we got back to the hotel, and I thought it was a little hot and didn't have a lot of flavor, and so I remembered I didn't really care for it. Jason, a couple weeks ago, he said that it didn't open up, so I
he got
traded
too?
it. Yeah, so I traded it, and I traded it for
After you had opened it?
no, I didn't open it.
Oh, okay.
I traded it for Russell's pick and $20, and I got a Camp Nelson F.
That's like a soft penis. You can't beat it.
Can't beat it.
Can't beat it.
I've tried,
beat
but
it.
you can't beat it.
Well, I mean, you can try to get it not soft, but if it's soft, you can't beat it.
Yeah. Dude, what are you doing over there?
I'm just.
So you want to hear my lion
I'm
story?
pulling Tyler.
Want to hear my lion story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Tell us
So
your favorite Lions
my
experience.
favorite experience with the Lions. 12 years old. My dad takes me out of school.
I know the story.
And doesn't tell me where we're going. And I'm like, okay. He on the way there, he goes, "We're going to the Silverdome, Pontiac Silverdome." That was back when they played there.
Yeah.
And one of his best friends, Jim Mancuso, really good dude. Played golf with him and Johnny Fonts, Wayne Fonts' brother, and watched him get a hole in one. That was pretty cool. But so we get to the practice. We're going to the Lions practice, and I'm hanging out with the kickers. Like, I'm retrieving footballs for Jason Hansen, bringing them back to him, and I'm trying to catch punts from John Jett. He was the punter at the time. And I just can't see it in the ceiling, that dome. It's just so high, it's gray.
So who walks up to you?
So I get a tap on the shoulder, and guy says, "Let me show you how you catch these." Fucking Barry Sanders.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
That's a cool ass.
I got to learn how to catch punts from Barry Sanders.
That's fucking sweet.
Wearing the red
who is
jersey.
the best punt returner in the history of the Lions? Wait, what?
Wasn't him. Probably Mel Gray.
Mel Gray.
Yes.
Mel Gray for sure was.
Mel Gray was
100%
there,
best.
but I learned from Barry.
No,
Because
that's-
Barry
no,
had
that's
his own
funny.
rules.
I was just being a smartass.
Yeah, no, I love Mel Gray.
No, Mel
He
Gray was
so
amazing.
good.
He was
Yes.
the best. He's probably still the best Detroit
Yes.
returner that they ever had.
I mean, Devin Hester is probably the best ever.
well, but that's not Detroit.
So
No.
So here is my Detroit hot take that I think goes so far against
the mainstream.
everyone that I've had this argument with, which is this is like a Tyler might be probably wrong, but I'm going to
Tyler
I'm gonna
might be probably wrong.
yeah. So last year
love it.
Detroit did not have a good defense. They did not have a good defense.
Secondary was bad. Let's not discredit that front line.
Their defensive line was pretty
Yes.
Hutch had good pressures. He did not get home. Not last year. This year.
Aleem
No,
McNeil was
no.
good last year too.
Not this year.
Right,
The
last
previous.
year. Right.
I-
Aleem McNeil was all right too.
I thought their defensive line was pretty good.
And
their-
Anzalone
but their
stepped up last
secondary-
year.
Their secondary wasn't
Yeah.
great.
Jack
So-
Campbell added us another like
Jack Campbell as a rookie was nothing special. Anzalone was an absolute nobody before he came to.
he was at
Detroit.
New Orleans.
Yeah, and he was
Yeah.
nobody.
He was just okay.
Carlton Davis again.
Just okay.
No, just okay.
Yeah.
You drafted Terrion Arnold, which in Rankenshaw.
I'm sorry, but safety. What's his name? Can't think of it right now.
Joseph. Joseph or Branch?
No, Branch.
Branch.
Branch as a rookie was phenomenal.
Yes. So Branch and obviously Joseph are good, but I think they also benefited a little bit from the defensive line pressure. And once that went away, they basically had like a fucking 6-game streak where they didn't have they were just average.
So what do you think about the people that say Kirby Joseph is the dirtiest player in football?
Fuck, this is
I don't
good.
know about that. Yeah. So here's my hot take is so Hutchinson went out, and I didn't think that they were a great defense. They didn't really add anyone besides Carlton Davis. They added some people last year, and I'm like, and they relied on the rookies getting better, like Jack Campbell. Then they added Regachaw, who's been hurt most of the year. Terrion Arnold, who's really learning how to not be fucking insanely overly physical like OSU's DB. So with that being said,
Do you think they missed the mark though? You think they should have taken Kool-Aid?
no, I think that they.
Kool-Aid had a better year
Listen,
than Terrion Arnold.
This is
it's
probably
okay.
not a hot take. If Detroit stays healthy on defense, they win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
They win the Super Bowl.
So, but here's my tying that into this. So Hutchinson goes out, and I already thought that they just had an okay defense, like good. They had a good scoring defense.
Yeah.
But their pass yards, like all of that, like it was comparable to the year before. So
It's like
what,
a bend, don't break mentality.
Yes.
Give up some yardage, but don't give
Yes.
up touchdowns.
But to me, like you had some system players. Like Anzalone is a system player. He's his PFF grade or PPF grade or whatever.
Sometimes the
is
system
good.
players
I know.
are the best players you can get.
Yeah.
If they fit in the system that they're in,
Correct.
amazing.
Carlton Davis is, he was okay, solid.
Can I propose to you a dilemma they have now?
You can propose to him an indecent
But
proposal
propose it after I get through my very long
that he's taking
Yes.
so long to tell.
So at the trade deadline, I thought, because mind you, Detroit has $60 million in cap space.
Right.
55.
No, so they have $60 million in cap space. They have $60 million in cap space. They don't
which is insane.
Yeah, they don't have a ton of draft picks, but they have $60 million. And to me, when you knew that Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson were leaving this year, like to me, and they historically have one of the best offenses of all time, or especially since back when Elway was at Denver.
Glenn's not gone yet.
Yes. They were finalizing.
With who?
Jets.
That's
I know, dude. So I thought they needed a little bit more help on defense. I think they needed a little bit more help. And so they only went out and they got Smith, which was a great pickup from Cleveland, but really like everyone else was just okay. And then the injuries happen, and then you're
The
literally
injuries are
yes, I get it. Aleem McNeil done for the year, Carlton Davis, and then Hutch as well.
You can't think of that stuff ahead of time.
We had
That's the
Anzalone
problem.
out for a
But
number of
to
games.
me, like Rodrigo's out too, but Rodrigo was a fucking 6th, 7th round pick. Like,
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he
Picks
was
don't matter. Tom
but
Brady
he
was a
was-
no,
6th-round pick.
But he was a fucking difference maker
so last
in
year,
the system.
Yes.
Rob Ninkovic for the Patriots, he was a 7th-round pick.
but you know
Yeah.
what's funny is last year he was a starter with Anzalone, and then Campbell, or maybe was that 2 years ago? But Campbell comes in, plays a little bit, and then this year he's like back to being he's not a practice squad player, but he was a really good special teams player and a okay backup. But like when those are the people that you're relying on to replace your starters that are like okay, like if you're relying on someone from Ferris State that was an undrafted rookie or an undrafted free agent to replace Anzalone, like you probably should have went out and maybe spent some money on some second stringers. Like, and I do say that my buddy had a pretty good point of like, in the NFL, there's not a ton of talent that's sitting in the two deeps, really. I just think that the fall off from Detroit's second or the first string to the second string was extraordinary. And they probably should have been like, hey, we don't have a top 10 defense in the country. Their scoring defense was okay. But we don't have a top 10 defense. We should probably do some things that help us so that when we're in a run in the playoffs and injuries are inevitable, that we're not fucked. And they did nothing.
Well,
So
here's where we're at.
that's my hot take is I was very, very disappointed that didn't happen. And you saw it in the second half of the year. Couldn't stop anybody. You saw it in the
still
playoffs.
outscored them.
And yeah,
Here's the thing.
At-
You can't, at the beginning of the year, you cannot guess who I was going to get hurt.
you can't.
I think if they had, let's just say, and I know this is insane, but let's just say that they had 0 injuries. I think they win the Super Bowl.
Yes, their defense was good enough.
It was good enough.
But when you
because
have
their offense was really good, and I know that they say defense wins championships, and if you look at the history of the NFL, the teams that win the Super Bowl always have a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
And
They do. They just always have a top 10 defense.
I think we've upgraded that defensive end with Zadarius Smith. So when Aiden Hutchinson's back, they're both going to be really
for sure.
good.
They'll get him.
So they've gotten better. I think we got 2 years to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We have 2 years because
Yes.
we're not extending Jared Goff past 2 years.
Yeah. So to me, like, this was, and that's why I'm
And then
so
it's rebound.
frustrated. Like, you extended Penei Sewell, you extended Goff, you know,
No, they got the
extended-
right guys in place.
Exactly. So, like, and then you had your two coordinators.
Amon-Ra, he's key on the offense.
Like, you had everyone. Like, just go. You have $60 million. Like, go and fucking sign somebody.
Here's where I think they need somebody on offense and defense. They need somebody like a Fred Warner in the middle linebacker spot, not Anzalone.
Fred
Well,
Warner.
Well, here's the thing: they run a 4-2-5, so it's Anzalone and Campbell. That's
I think our safeties with Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch are fine.
They need
our
a
cornerbacks
nickel.
mediocre.
Yeah.
Brian Branch can play a nickel.
Yes.
I think they need that linebacker who's going to step up like N'Kobe Dean or like Fred Warner or the Ray Lewis type. Like they need that kind of style middle linebacker.
Yeah.
And offense, they need a slot receiver. Tim Patrick's not that guy. J-Mo and Amon-Ra are great.
Yeah.
They need a big body slot receiver who can go over the middle.
I do agree. I just think it's so far down. Like when you have,
Well, we don't need David Montgomery. Jamer Gibbs has proven himself to be a feature back.
I know, but
He is the most deadly running back outside of Saquon Barkley in the league.
I know
Hey,
that.
whoa,
I know
whoa,
that. But
whoa.
Outside of Saquon Barkley.
And
Derrick Henry.
yes.
Okay. You
Yeah,
got me
but-
there. Yeah.
After that, I'll agree.
Yeah,
You got me there.
I do
Derrick
think,
Henry and Saquon Barkley are 1 and 2 for
Yes.
fucking
Sure,
Yes.
sure.
yards
But-
for the season.
Yeah.
Jamer Gibbs is up
think,
there with them.
Yeah, I think Gibbs, what he presents,
good.
and
I love Sonic and Knuckles. I really do. I just, for the money, I
Yeah.
don't think we can keep Montgomery.
yeah, you're not going to be able to keep both of them. Like at some point, you're not going to be able to keep both. So yeah, it just
Hey, real quick. Is the last one we did the best one we did?
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
And
Did
that's
we just
yours,
become
right?
best friends?
So much room for activities.
It's that fucking good.
No, it's you won. You won in that Secret Santa.
You did.
It's
No,
good.
I mean, honestly, our pick was great, but this
Yes.
is better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than a Special K, too. And I love that Special K.
When I opened it up and I was like had a number of pours, I was like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah, this is better than our pick, too.
It is. It is. And again, I love our pick.
Yeah. And our pick,
Hey,
when we
get
did
your
it,
get your damn golf club in line
what do you-
because
What?
I want to get a Russell's pick from your golf club.
I thought you wanted John J. Bowman.
I want all of it. I want to be doing a pick every couple months.
Next week, we'll talk to Ann about trying to get it with Campari.
But what does she have to do with it?
She used to work for Campari.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
NDA, she can't talk about all the stuff, but
Listen up, fellas. It is time to finish the episode. We are over an hour, officially. So I think the last one we did, the one from Tyler, what was yours?
3, 2, 1.
Yeah. I think 3, 2, 1. I agree.
And look forward to next week. We have OHLQ.
We have OHLQ on the podcast next week. And Demick. She will come on, answer some questions.
Hopefully, put to rest some of those false.
Some of the stupid shit
Yeah.
that everyone thinks. Yeah, 100%. That being said, outstanding. These Russells are all good.
I love them all.
Yeah, they're all good. Thanks for joining in, guys. Check in next week when we bring in Endemic. And then we've got a Mouth Experience Monday that may or may not be a repeat of something we've done recently.
Can I try again?
You can next week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us on yet another hunt for bourbon. Please give us a 5-star review anywhere you are listening, but if you don't, leave some constructive criticism in the review so that we can better improve our show. But until then, sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy some bourbon. The Bourbon Hunters podcast has been craft distilled, produced, recorded, and edited by Dude Pool. For any questions, comments, or recommendations, please reach out to info@bourbonhunters.com.